Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Josh All, your host today. Much later in the day than I anticipated or we even wanted to do an episode for you guys here on Tuesday, but I kept putting it off and off and off and off and off. And all I did was scroll freaking Twitter, refresh all day long, waiting for the Browns to make a freaking announcement about this head coaching decision. For crying out loud, guys, get it done. You guys are watching, listening to this right now, and I would not be surprised if as soon as I get this podcast recorded, edited, posted everywhere for you guys to consume the content, they're going to come out and make an announcement. I'm going to be just banging my head against the table, but here we are. I got to get some stuff out to you guys, and I don't have all night. I got other things going on that I need to do, so here we go. Screw the Browns, they're taking too long. I don't have that kind of time, and we're going to do this show. I got voicemails, I got messages from the website, I got things to talk about from the last couple of days, so let's just get to it. Before I do, though, make sure you guys go to jointhedogs.com if you want to be part of our dog pack community. Join the Discord, the private Discord. Get in there, hang out with all the diehard Browns fans around the world. These people are fantastic, and the conversations in there is what keeps us going with this team and everything that's been happening throughout this 23-day head coaching search. So let's talk about it. I'm trying to remember the last updates I gave you guys. I know we did a show on Sunday. We did that in the Discord. By the way, if you want to be part of those Dog Pack Discord episodes, again, jointhedogs.com. The head coaching search has taken some wild turns, bumps, bruises, whatever you want to call it, throughout this whole process. We had another candidate on Monday morning. So yesterday morning, I'm just trying to pull all this from memory real quick. Monday morning yesterday, Grant Udinski, offensive coordinator for the Jaguars, done. He's out. He says, I do not need to be considered anymore for the Browns head coaching job. The Jacksonville Jaguars gave him, I don't know what the numbers were, but I believe it was a significant pay bump to remain in Jacksonville with the Jaguars there, although it was reported that he was still pursuing the Buffalo Bills head coach vacancy. So pulls out from the Browns, and that's it. Now the Browns are heading out to LA Monday to talk to Nate Shieldhouse. They had an interview with him yesterday for like 8 hours or more, it felt like. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it started in the morning, and then it was like late in the evening yesterday, and Mary Kay and everybody's still reporting that the interview is still going on. But in the middle of that interview with Nate Shieldhouse, who, by the way, is the Rams passing game coordinator, if you're not familiar, I apologize for not saying that. Rams pass game coordinator out in LA. Browns flew out to meet him. It was their second interview with him. And then right in the middle of that interview, we get a notification that the Buffalo Bills have now requested an interview with Nate Shieldhouse. So, and then it was also reported that he is going to take that interview with the Buffalo Bills. So after he wraps things up with the Browns in person, he's going to jump on a Zoom call and do a virtual interview with the Buffalo Bills. Yesterday turned into a just disaster zone for the Browns and everything. And the way it's being perceived in the media and among the fan base, it don't look good. It does not look great for the Cleveland Browns to continue to have head coach, and no matter the situation, no matter how understandable it is, and it is understandable. I don't want to sit here and just bash the Browns yet. I said yesterday on social media, and I'll say again now, I'm not going to just lambaste the Browns until Nate Shieldhouse says no. And that's now if they even offer him the job. So we don't even know what's going on, but that was kind of the quick rundown from yesterday. You got Udinski pulling out of the race. Browns fly to LA for their interview with Nate Shieldhouse. We all anticipate, hey, this is what they've been waiting for, the guy they've been holding out to speak with this entire time. Here we go. We're going to go out there, interview, bam. They're going to offer him. We're going to get an announcement. Not what happened, because he got the request from the Bills, took the Bills interview. But now today it comes out the Buffalo Bills have hired, or rather promoted, offensive coordinator Joe Brady to be their new head coach. That means Grant Udinski is no longer in the running for that head coach job. He is locked in, I suppose, now as the offensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars for another season. And Nate Shieldhouse obviously did not get the job with the Bills. So it leaves a lot to be questioned. Again, at this point in time, that's why I hate these situations, because I didn't want to do this podcast till we got the information from the Browns. But it's like they just do not know either what they want to do, what they're doing. There must be some, and I've seen a lot of speculation, and I don't disagree. There's got to be some sort of power struggle. Maybe not power struggle is maybe not the right way to say it. There's got to be some sort of differing of opinion between ownership, maybe Jimmy and D. Haslam, whatever the situation is there, versus Andrew Berry in the front office. I believe, just like I've seen other people speculate, I believe the process for the front office and for Andrew Berry led them to Nate Shieldhouse or Grant Udinski. But I think Nate Shieldhouse is probably, from what I've read on him and what I've researched, I can see the Browns front office really liking him. I like him too. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying I think Nate Shieldhouse is a good candidate. That's the guy I hope they end up hiring. I don't think it's going to happen now. I did yesterday. Not now. But that's what I believe on that side of things. On the other side, it feels like it's very much Jim Schwartz for Jimmy Haslam and the Browns ownership. So, who will end up being the Cleveland Browns head coach? We got some voicemails and a couple messages to read through. I wasn't going to talk about Udinski yet because I was going to let Zach, a.k.a. Fake Burns, lay the foundation for that one, but I beat you to it, Zach. But anyway, here's the voicemail.
How's it going? It's Zach, a.k.a. Fake Burns. I just wanted to say the news has been broken for a minute, but the podcast itself hasn't been released that Udinski has decided to stay with the Jaguars, which, as a personal standpoint, I kind of understand why. He's only 30. Let him get some more experience. But as a Browns fan standpoint, that really sucks, even though I think if he would have been offered the Bills job, I mean, he'd be stupid not to take that. But I think at this point, the thing that's going through my mind is, and I know he'll love to hear it, Blake, you were right. I would have just rather kept Stefanski at this point and looked for something else later. I mean, this is just horrible. We might be taking Shieldhouse when I'm making this voicemail. Hopefully we do. With that being said, like Blake said, he doesn't have that much experience, so that does scare me. But Josh, you were also correct where we should have cleaned house altogether, because Andrew Berry he is showing he has no idea how to run this. I mean, like it's classic Cleveland Browns luck. Not even luck, just I don't even know what to say. I just needed a rant for a second. Hopefully Shieldhouse, if we even get him, does well. Go Browns.
All right, Fake Burns. Zach, thank you for the voicemail. First of all, I caution you, and I caution everybody out there, be very careful if you ever call this podcast and say the words, Blake was right. Those are dangerous words. Those are very dangerous words. If you guys know, you know. Do not come here saying Blake was right. You're going to create a whole can of worms for the rest of us. On the other hand, Josh was right. I'll take that because I did want the full house cleaning. And it all had to do with this culture of losing that the Browns had facilitated for the last 2 years. And really, I mean, honestly, the entire Stefanski tenure was not it was not built on a foundation of winning football games. It was 2 seasons where they managed to make the playoffs, and the rest of it was a bunch of crap. We call it what it is. I mean, yes, they won more games in each season than they had prior to Kevin getting here, but it was still 4 losing seasons, almost 5 if it weren't for Joe Flacco out of 6. Whoop-de-doo. You know, it wasn't, I don't know. Blake is, and that's another thing. I know a lot of people left comments after the episode on Sunday. I wanted to address it. Listen, I know it gets super negative when Blake's on, when the whole crew is together. I keep saying this. You guys have to understand. Blake did not want to fire Kevin. He did not want to do it. He knew this was going to happen, that nobody was going to want to take this job, and his viewpoint was not just stick it out with another year for Kevin and then fire him. He actually thought Kevin was a good coach and should continue to be the Browns head coach, where I feel like Jake, there I go calling you Jake. I feel like Zach is a little more just in that mindset of we could have just kept it with Kevin for another year, had another mediocre year, because that's what it would have been. We won 8 games in the last 2 years, guys. It wasn't getting any better. And then done this whole head coach search next year. rip the freaking Band-Aid off, guys. That's my opinion. Like, why wait if you know it's going to be tough? And I don't think Kevin wanted to freaking be here anyway. It was time to move on. But I was ready to do it with everybody. And while I think Andrew Berry is screwing a lot of things up within this organization, I hesitate to heap all the blame on him solely because I think Jimmy Haslam is the biggest problem we have. You saw it whenever the Browns wanted to, I believe the process, if I am remembering correctly, the process when we were looking for a head coach in 2016 the process led the Browns to Sean McDermott. Jimmy Haslam overrode the process, stepped in, and wanted to hire Hugh Jackson. Okay, that was great. The next time, the process led the Browns to want to hire, I think the finalists were Kevin Stefanski and Dan Campbell, if I'm remembering correctly, and then Jimmy Haslam stepped in and said he wanted to hire Freddie Kitchens. We know how that went. So this is not the first time. There is a track record of Jimmy Haslam stepping in and screwing things up when the Browns, even if the front office and the process gets it right, Jimmy Haslam's like, nope, I'm going to get it wrong. So if I'm like distracted at moments here, I am refreshing Twitter again and again, trying to see if they're announcing anything. I just know. I know as soon as I'm done with this episode, they're going to freaking announce it. It's just my luck. Just my luck. All right, let's see here. I want to get to let's do this. I'm going to read Jay's message from the website. He says, first off, big love from across the pond. I am a new Browns fan, so I'll admit I have not earned my battle scars yet. My Sundays haven't been haunted by decades of fourth quarter heartbreak or post-draft disillusionment. That said, as a Real Madrid supporter, I know the sting of a rare loss and how irrationally personal it can feel. But Madrid's the top dog in Europe, and you guys, y'all, well, you've got the bark, but I believe the bite's coming. Now to the main event. Jay says, I have been feeling a strange static in the airwaves lately, like the coaching search is less a process and more an exorcism. I get it. Hope has teeth here and trust is earned in blood, but I think we're coming at Andrew Berry with more pitchfork than perspective. He says, take the Rooney Rule noise, for instance. Some say he hasn't checked the box, but maybe, just maybe, that's the point. Maybe he's not interested in tokenism or optics. Maybe he'd rather pay the damn fine than perform diversity theater. That's integrity I can get behind. Pick the best mind for the job, pink, brown, black, or beige. And let the work speak. If that's not a quiet kind of rebellion, I don't know what is. As for the candidates, intriguing, mysterious, half mirage, half metric. Nobody outside the building knows much, and that's kind of thrilling, isn't it? There's danger in not knowing. There's also possibility. Here's my plea. Let's lead with curiosity, not criticism, with humor, not hostility. This fan base has been trained to brace for bad news like it's weather, but sometimes storms pass, sometimes the sky clears. What if this time we gave the blessing room to arrive? What if we let something grow before we dragged it into the graveyard of past failures? Let's stop biting the future before it learns to bark. Let's give hope a leash, not a muzzle. Let's effing go. New Cleveland Browns. Oh. All right. It says, this is Jay reporting from Germany. Still barking, still believing. Jay from Germany, thank you. I have to go clear back to the top of your message, which was very well written, by the way. That was impressive and everything. You are a new Browns fan, so yes, you're right. You're not battle tested. You do not have the scars that we longtime Browns fans have. So this is kind of a PSA to all the newer Browns fans out there. And there's nothing wrong with this, guys. I get it. If I became a newer fan of a team in a sport or whatever, I would not have the experienced history because I just don't. You know, we've been doing this for 30 plus years. When it starts to feel like the Browns don't know what they're doing, 9 times out of 10, if not all 10, it's because they don't. And I'm not saying that to try to be funny or to just be a dick to the Browns. You guys know that's true. The long timers out there, you guys know. If it feels like we don't know what we're doing, we probably don't. But Jay, I do appreciate the optimism. I hope that is true. I'm trying to be a little more like you and some of these other people that are saying, just be patient, just be optimistic and positive and everything. I'm trying, guys. Seriously, I would love to, the scars are deep, man. Scars are deep. All right, next voicemail here. This one is from Adam.
Hey, boys. Early morning here in El Paso, Texas. This is Adam. Just wanted to call, start off the day right. Yesterday, pretty interesting. Udinski pulls out from the head coaching thing. That's two decent prospects in a row that pull out from our head coaching search. I don't know if it's coincidental or if it's just business in the NFL, but I also feel like maybe these guys are feeling overwhelmed before they even sign the contract. Is it just them having to take a personality test, a knowledge test? Is it them being told who their defensive coordinator is going to be if they come in here and who their starting quarterback is? And I don't know. I don't think that's coincidental. Second thing, don't know if you guys heard, first time since 2007, Shedeur Sanders, a Pro Bowl quarterback with a Cleveland Browns uniform. Kind of crazy, kind of a joke, but I wonder if that increases the pressure to start him next year. I think overall the NFL is a business. I love it as a sport, but it's a business, and he's putting butts in seats, and I think that this title is just going to go ahead and increase that for our team. Last thing, man, I heard you guys talk this last episode about Alex Van Pelt, our previous offensive coordinator. He's sitting over there with the Rams as a senior offensive assistant, something of that nature. I always wonder, with all the names being tossed around, why isn't his name being tossed around as a head coach?
All right, Adam, thanks for the voicemail. Yes, Shedeur Sanders, big news the other day, has been named to the Pro Bowl as a replacement for Drake May, who obviously is going to the Super Bowl, so he cannot attend the Pro Bowl game. So Shedeur Sanders will take his place. Now, I know that it was a running joke for a while, and everybody jumped on this, and it kind of sucks that this is the way it is, and this is the way the Pro Bowl has become, but I think a lot of people don't understand that Pro Bowl voting and nominations is not based. It's somewhat based on your statistical output and what you did during the season on the field, but not completely. It's really a popularity contest is what it is. It's a three-way vote. It's a three-part vote. You get 33% from the van vote, 33% from coaches, and then 33% from players. So obviously Shedeur Sanders is going to crush everybody on the fan vote side of things. While you have other quarterbacks, I know people are saying like Trevor Lawrence should have been in there or Daniel Jones, whatever, some of these other guys. And we'll get to that. But you got to remember, like they're sharing the fan vote with each other. Shedeur's not sharing fan vote with anybody. His fans are voting for him, and there are a ton of his fans, and they love him. They're passionate, and they're going to back him no matter what. So if you go back and you look, I mean, whenever Pro Bowl voting was finished a month ago or whenever it was, Shedeur Sanders was 10th in the entire NFL among quarterbacks. That's both AFC and NFC. If you look at just the AFC quarterbacks, he was 4th in voting. Number 1 was Drake May, 2, Josh Allen, 3, Patrick Mahomes, I believe, and then 4 was Shedeur Sanders. Well, Patrick Mahomes can't go be the replacement for Drake May because he's injured. So who is the next in line per the voting results? Shedeur Sanders. So I think there's people out there that believe the NFL just said, well, we want to get more eyes on the Pro Bowl. Shedeur Sanders, like you said, Adam, puts butts in seats. So let's get one of the most popular players and just put him in the Pro Bowl. That's not what happened. Shedeur Sanders was by default the next on the list of voting for the quarterbacks. That's just how it was. So I know the optics, you can say what you want. It's very similar to when Tyler Huntley got named to the Pro Bowl as an alternate or whatever. I don't even know if he was a replacement. I forget. But the Shedeur Sanders situation, you got to remember, though, Shedeur did have, he won Rookie of the Week. He was the first Browns quarterback to win the first start since, 1995. He won the ESPN Hemi Award the one week. He was the first quarterback to have like 300 yards and touchdowns and rushing touchdown in games since Joe Burrow. Like he actually had a pretty good stretch during the 7 games. I know the overall stats are like not that great, but this team was not that great. This offense was booty juice, and he did, I think, the best he absolutely could with what he was given. But all that to be said, like that's not what goes into the Pro Bowl voting. It is based on fan vote, player vote, coaching vote, And Shedeur Sanders was already the 4th quarterback in the AFC on the voting list. So by default, he was just next in line if a replacement was needed. That's all it was. That's all it was. It was not the NFL trying to say, well, we're just going to try to sell more tickets to this piece of garbage Pro Bowl we do every year. Nope. It was just the process being the process. This episode is sponsored by ISSA. Browns fans, if you're into health and fitness, have you ever wondered how you could maybe turn those hobbies and your passion into an actual career? If that sounds interesting to you, then ISSA has the opportunity you've been looking for. ISSA is the International Sports Science Association, and they can help you become a certified personal trainer in as little as 3 months. And right now you can get $100 off your certification when you sign up through our link, joinissa.com/dogs, DAWGS. Now, certifications are 100% online, self-study, and self-paced. You can study anywhere from your phone, tablet, or computer. And the final exam is open note, open book, aka piece of cake. Except you fitness nuts probably don't eat a ton of cake, so let's just call it a piece of delicious protein bar. And ISSA has the #1 job guarantee in the industry. If you get certified and sign up to be a certified trainer with ISSA, you have a job guarantee or your money back. ISSA has over 10,000 gym partners that have over 73,000 open jobs for trainers right now. And you don't need a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree. You just need your certification to qualify for these jobs. So what are you waiting for? With certification this simple, there's no excuse not to pursue your passion and become a certified personal trainer today. Get $100 off your certification at joinissa.com/dogs. You've wanted to make a change long enough. Now it's time to do something about it. That's joinissa.com/dogs for $100 off your personal trainer certification. This episode is sponsored by ButcherBox. Browns fans, I hope you didn't miss out on the Christmas promotion from ButcherBox, but if you did, I have great news. The promo is still running this week. Head to butcherbox.com right now and new members will receive your choice between free New York strip, ribeye, or filet mignon in every single box for an entire year. Plus, you get an extra $20 off with promo code DOGS, DAWGS, at checkout. Just head over to butcherbox.com, choose your box and your delivery frequency. With the custom classic box, you get exactly what you and your family love. Choose from over 80 products, including meat and seafood. Plus, you can manage your entire subscription online, and you can change your box type, your product selections, your frequency, or your delivery date at any time. Shipping is always free. Deliveries come straight to your door on your schedule, and you can cancel anytime. Every meal is easier when your freezer is stocked with high-quality meat and seafood from ButcherBox. That's butcherbox.com. Right now, get your choice between free New York strip, ribeye, or filet mignon in every box for an entire year, plus $20 off with promo code DOGS, DAWGS, when you check out. So thanks, Adam. For the voicemail, I want to bump over here to another message from the website. This one is from Matt. And now, granted, you guys understand some of these voicemails and messages come in from, a couple days ago. We had the big snowstorm over the weekend, all that kind of stuff. I've been waiting for the announcement from the Browns on who the freaking coach is going to be. So we don't get to all these before the news cycle speeds up. But anyway, from Matt says, hey, Dog Pat, Matt Mendoza here. It looks like Udinski is out, which in my opinion makes it obvious we are going with Shieldhouse for the head coach. Big step up for him, but Browns are swinging for the fences if they hire him. In regards to the draft, do you think Carnell Tate is good enough for that 6th overall pick, or do you think the success of all the receivers coming out of Ohio State these past years makes other teams, think, let's just go get that OSU wide receiver and it'll be a sure thing because of the success of Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison, JSN, and Emeka Egbuka. When comparing those top 3 guys makes you wonder how much of that has a psychological impact on their decision. Okay, and he says, Browns to the Super Bowl, let's go. Maybe one day. Maybe one day, Matt. Maybe one day. Yeah, Carnell Tate's 100% worth the 6th overall pick. And do I think he'll be there at 6? I actually do not. I've said this before. The way things are looking right now. And of course, that can change. That can change. We got months and months here until the NFL draft. We got to go through the whole process. Senior Bowl's this week, by the way, guys. Got to do some podcasts on that. Come on, Browns. Get a coaching staff in place. But anyway, Yes, I think that there's a chance the Tennessee Titans, who are ahead of the Browns, the New York Giants, hell, maybe even the Arizona Cardinals, could go after a guy like Carnell Tate to help round out their wide receiver room. You got to remember, we're not going to have teams going after quarterbacks in the first round because there's only one. We're not going to have teams fighting for these edge rushers and everything at the top because you can probably get a Reuben Bain or a David Bailey right around where we are, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 range. There's really no cornerbacks, DBs that need to be taken that high. The only guy maybe would be like a Caleb Downs, the safety, the offensive tackles. There's really no like super high end, obvious, this is a top 3 pick at tackle type guy. There's no blue chip franchise altering left tackle prospects in this draft. From what I'm reading and gathering from all the analysts, it's overall a pretty weak draft, and especially in terms of the high-end talent. So I think that pushes a guy like Carnell Tate into the laps of teams that are like, hey, you know what? We're sitting here, top receiver on the board. We need a receiver to go with a Malik Neighbors or Marvin Harrison or get somebody for Cam Ward. Pull the trigger on that. So that's why Carnell Tate, I love Mekhi Lemon. And I've seen some people, I love Mekhi Lemon, but I would never take him at 6. That's too high. 6 is too high for Mekhi Lemon. No, it damn well is not too high for Mekhi Lemon. All right, Matt, thank you for the message. Let's shift over. Actually, let's keep the wide receiver talk going here with the voicemail from Logan.
Hey guys, this is Logan down in Australia. I just want to get your thoughts on the Brandon Ayuk situation, how 49ers GM saying he's played his last snap. Do you reckon, because knowing the Browns' history with signing bloody players with, issues off the field, sadly, but I can sort of see us maybe trying to pursue Brandon Ayuk, possibly. But would you guys like it if we grab Brandon Ayuk as our wide receiver 1? Thanks, guys. Go Browns.
All right. Thank you, Logan from Down Under, man. I love it. I love the diversity of the Browns fan base just goes across the face of the earth, and I love it. I think it's fantastic. No, we don't need anything to do with Brandon Ayuk. I think that Andrew Berry is way more willing than most GMs to roll the dice on some of these discounted players due to off the field issues and things like that. Brandon Ayuk's not one of those guys. And I think Andrew Berry, there's a difference between the off-field, like a guy like Isaiah Bond had the sexual allegation thing last year, but then that was kind of found. I forget the details of that even, but the case was dismissed or whatever. It went away. And so, they took him as a UDFA and gave him a 3-year contract that was super cheap. Very low risk, all reward kind of deal. Brandon Ayuk's going to cost you money, and his off-field issues aren't off the field. They're off the field and into the locker room where his problems are. And I don't need that guy in my organization. I don't want that guy in my organization. His talent coming off the injury and everything that his issues there in San Francisco, how is that worth it for anybody? He's not worth it at all, in my opinion. And he's a guy that I was hoping the Browns would go after 2 years ago when they were looking into him. But now that ship has completely sailed, want nothing to do with this guy. He has burnt bridges that he didn't even know he had with anybody who else might have been interested in him, because there's no reason to be. And I have got to believe that Andrew Berry's smart enough to discern the difference between a legal situation off the field that, kind of like with Quinshon Judkins, where it was a he said, she said situation and all that stuff, versus this dude is a freaking problem for a football team within the organization. That's just something, man, and you can't bring him to Cleveland. You can't bring him to Cleveland. You think he's unhappy in San Francisco? Yeah. I'm with you, Logan. Not worth the headache one bit. All right, a couple more voicemails to get to here. Let's hear from Brad. Brad is back with another song, everybody. So go ahead and give me a star rating in the comments, Brad. Let's see what you scored on let's say 1 to 10 on this one.
The Brown season's come again, and we need another head coach. Wake me up when the head coach search ends. Yeah, what's up, boys? It's been a while since I've put in a voicemail. Head coach search, man. Been a roller coaster, of us not abiding to the Rooney Rule, to other coaches going other places, coaches canceling on us, coaches not even wanting to come out and take the interview. Man, it's been wild. But I think they're zeroing in on their guys, Udinski or Shieldhouse. With them wanting to fly out to LA, it looks like maybe Nate might be the guy. We shall see. Excited for the games today. I got the Seahawks and the Patriots winning today. And we'll see how this head coach thing goes. Either way, I'm still kind of excited for the offseason. Let's go Browns. Woof, woof.
All right, Brad, I think you got to get some sort of, probably like a voice coach, some sort of singing coach to help you out. And you might want to consult with a lyricist on some of these, but I appreciate the effort and you're killing it, man. Let's see if we can get some more of these dueling songs on here. You guys are awesome with these. The head coaching search has just kind of been a drag. It really has. And I was very willing to give the Browns the benefit of the doubt with the idea that they were gunning for Nate Shieldhouse from the beginning. That they saw something in him, that they identified him early on in the process, whatever analytical metric crap testing they want to use, that they came out and said, this is the guy that's on the top of our list of candidates. And that's why it would make sense that this thing's been dragged out for 23 freaking days. They had to wait until the Rams were out of the playoffs to even be able to hire him. They weren't worried about fulfilling the Rooney Rule in any sort of expedited time frame because Nate Shieldhouse is going to be our second Rooney Rule interview, and we're not interviewing him until they're done with the playoffs anyhow. So what's the rush? We don't need to, do any of these stupid sham interviews. Let's only interview candidates that we truly believe in and have interest in. Okay. I was on board with all that. I know they were taking a lot of flack when, Mike McDaniel and these other guys. But when Mike McDaniel pulled out, it was like, okay, he withdrew his name, but that's because he was going to take the OC job with the Chargers. And then when Jesse Minter withdrew his name from the the list, that's because he was taking the job with the Ravens. So there was he wasn't going to do any more interviews with anybody else. John Harbaugh didn't turn us down. He only took one interview, period. He knew he was going to New York. He didn't talk to any other teams. So it's not like the media and some of these people on social media and Twitter want to make it out as if the Browns are just this absolutely repulsive organization that nobody wants to touch with a 10-foot pole. That hasn't necessarily been the case. Is it the most attractive job in the world? Absolutely not. Is there a reason why a guy like Grant Udinski would pull out and say, no, I don't really want to be considered for that head coaching job right now. I'm going to stay in my OC role with the Jaguars and maybe wait another cycle for a different position? That makes total sense. I can't fault a guy for doing that, and that is an indictment on what the Browns have done to this roster, to this organization. Andrew Berry, great job. You've created an offensive roster that no coach wants anything to do with. Now, I shouldn't say no coach. No up-and-coming coach who's trying to get his jump into the head coaching ranks of the NFL doesn't want anything to do with that. Doesn't want anything to do with that. And that's on you, AB. And Jimmy. But we will see what happens. In the last, 12, what are we looking at here? 12, 16 hours or so, it's been a strong push, a strong surge of momentum that Jim Schwartz is probably going to be the next head coach of the Browns. And whether or not that ends up being true will really determine. I'm sorry, guys. I am just reading some of this stuff on Twitter. What is this account here? Okay, memes. I don't know if that's a credible source. Anyway, I'm sorry, guys. I'm so distracted by this because, again, I did not want to do this episode without knowing what we're freaking doing. If the Browns end up with Jim Schwartz, to me, the head coaching search was a failure. It was a failure. If Jim Schwartz was going to be your head coach, you could have named him head coach 3 weeks ago, and you could have had your entire coaching staff in place now, and you could be at the Senior Bowl with your scouts and getting ready for the draft. Instead, we're sitting here. We have no idea who our head coach is. We don't have a coaching staff put together. We are so far behind the 8 ball. And I know we're not the only team. Obviously, the Raiders and the Cardinals are still trying to find a head coach as well. But I don't really want to be lumped in with the Raiders and Cardinals anymore. I would not like to be on their level anymore. And it's just sad that here we are still waiting to figure out who the head coach is going to be. Now, if it's Nate Shieldhouse and they had to wait this long to get him because of the playoff run for the Rams, that is understandable. That changes the way I perceive this. If it's Jim Schwartz, then it's definitely a perceived failure of a head coaching search because, again, you could have done it 3 weeks ago and been done with it. So we'll see what happens. I really don't want to go in the weeds too much with how I feel just without knowing what they're doing. Now, do they know what they're doing? Hell, I don't know. But anyway, one more voicemail to get to. This one is from Darren. No, I'm sorry. Darren, thank you for the voicemail. I forgot this was a 5 questions for all 3 of the hosts. So I'll wait until I get together with Justin and Blake on the next episode to go through your voicemail. So that's everything for today as far as messages from you guys and voicemails. The head coaching search lumbers on, apparently. By the time you guys watch this, listen again, you might already know who it is, in which case I will be putting out quick, short videos, reels, and things like that, and then probably doing a full-blown podcast episode tomorrow to break down the situation around whoever we end up actually hiring. So stay tuned for that. I appreciate you guys sticking through this episode and tuning in and everything. Even if you already know who the head coach is, it's still fun to have these discussions with you guys. Last thing I want to talk about, non-Browns related, just this Super Bowl matchup. I'm curious to hear in the comments what you guys think. Who do you believe is going to win this Super Bowl between the Patriots and the Seahawks? So that is, those were the 2 winners and from championship weekend. Patriots 10-7 win over the Broncos in a game that was 100% dictated by the weather. There was, once the Patriots were up 3, that was it. There was no chance for anybody else to score any more points because the weather just completely prohibited anything from happening on the field. It was handoff, 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 no gain, no gain, no gain, punt. If you guys like that kind of football, hats off to you. I hate it. Freaking boring, suck to watch. Get me the dome so I don't have to watch that crap in Cleveland. I want to watch good football. These are world-class athletes. We spend so much money as from these organizations to go out and get superstar wide receivers and running backs and quarterbacks. For the weather to render that completely worthless, I hate it. I hate it. And I hated it even more when I watched the game after that. The Seahawks and Rams game was so much fun. It was so much fun. Could you imagine not being able to watch JSN go out there and do what he did in that game because he couldn't? Because of the weather? Could you imagine not being able to watch Kenneth Walker or Kyron Williams or Puka Nacua or any of these guys go out and just put on a show? Strictly because of the weather? That would have sucked. It was much more fun to watch that game, in my opinion. But anyway, those are your 2 winners, Seahawks, Patriots. It's a rematch of Super Bowl 49 when the Seahawks blew the game. If you guys remember that game, they blew it. Goal line stand, slant pass. Russell Wilson picked off by Malcolm Butler. It was largely considered and still is one of the worst play calls of all time. If you remember, the Seahawks had Marshawn Lynch, the big bruising running back. The dude had 24 carries for 102 yards and a touchdown already in that Super Bowl. It was 2nd and goal from the 1-yard line. There was no reason to try a pass at that point. They did it anyway. Kind of a Kevin Stefanski smarter than everyone else play before it's time. So the Patriots ended up winning that game 28-24. Brady gets another Super Bowl, and Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll do not. So we'll see. What do you guys think? This time, Sam Darnold, Mike McDonald in that defense in Seattle, or will it be Drake May, Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels, and the Patriots Want to hear from you guys. It should be a good Super Bowl. I'm excited about the matchup. I think it's going to be fun. So thank you guys again for tuning in. I know this was a little shorter. It's a little more rushed, but again, I get really antsy doing these episodes, knowing that the content I'm creating right now could be rendered completely dumb and worthless in a matter of seconds. So I'm going to get this out to you guys. Have a great night. Have a great rest of your week, but I'll be back probably tomorrow as soon as we find out who the Browns head coach is, and we'll talk then. Send in your voicemails to thedogspodcast.com. Join the dog pack at jointhedogs.com to get in there, be in the Discord, hang out with everybody. Hope to see you there. Let's go Browns.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dogs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is sponsored by Kalshi. Browns fans, are you ready to put your money where your predictions are? With Kalshi, America's #1 regulated prediction market, you can legally trade on events that actually matter to you. And the best part is you don't need to predict specific stat lines and compile a 7-leg parlay to win big. With Kalshi, the objective is either yes or no. Which team will win the Super Bowl? Who will be the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns or whatever other team is looking for a head coach? Will Fernando Mendoza be the first pick in the NFL draft? You can put your money on these predictions and more with Kalshi. If you want to try it out, Kalshi is giving $20 to anyone who signs up at kalshi.com/dogs, DAWGS, and trades $100. And right now, I believe there's a promo going on for $10 if you just sign up with kalshi.com/dogs, even without trading the $100. So get away with disadvantageous sports books and dive into real world outcomes with real-time odds and real payouts. Head over to kalshi.com/dogs, DAWGS, or click the link in the description below to get $20 when you trade $100 on Kalshi. That's Kalshi, because why shouldn't you get paid for being right?